you're up at the Arctic Circle, you're talking at least a $2,000 bill from Fairbanks to come get you. And it's going to take them a considerable amount of time. So bring your bug dope. Welcome to 10-Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Shane Patrick.
And with me, as always, is Phil Freeman. And we're going to talk about riding motorcycles to Prudhoe Bay.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
So, the place that you stay, let's talk about accommodations. How does life change from Fairbanks to Deadhorse?
Well, I try to set expectations, but common bathrooms. You've got buffet style, trucker style dinners and breakfasts. You have it's just pretty basic. You just have to lower your expectations, and your expectations will be met. There's a new place in town in Prudhoe called the Aurora, and it is a facelift. And then we do from time to time continue to stay in Deadhorse Camp, which is it's been around since the 70s, and it kind of looks like it, but their food is excellent, and they take care of us real well. But you really you're going into a work camp environment. Everybody in Prudhoe is there just to work, and they're all on 2-week shifts or so. And there's no alcohol allowed up there. So if you are going to drink, you have to do it in your room or down low in the parking lot or something. But if you drink while you're working there, you get fired immediately. You lose your job. So you just that isn't being done up there. And it does have that work camp feel. I mean, that's what it is. And you're being embedded with that culture. So nothing fancy. That a lot of people want to go see the Arctic Ocean when they get there. And in order to do so, you have to go through a 7-mile security zone, because that's the terminus of the Alyeska Pipeline. And there's a significant amount of oil that goes through there, and it's sort of a national defense area. So in order to get on that tour, you have to call ahead and get a background check. So that you're able to go access that road all the way to the Arctic Ocean. And I feel sorry for the folks that do it in June, because basically you're looking at a sheet of ice with these little miserable puddles there. In July, it's not much better. It's just that it's sort of a miserable water area that's really cold that you can submerge yourself in, because you could walk out there 100 yards and still be about shin deep, so you have to really work at it to get submerged out there.
Well, it's nice that it's miserable in June and July.
Yeah, it's very consistent. And I've seen photographs. I haven't been on that particular trip, but it was in the middle of July, and there was snow right along the road on both sides. So it can snow any day of the year there. And
Adigan Pass that's the significant pass. Do you remember off the top of your head, the elevation, the change?
I believe it's 4,600 feet or something like that. It's not all that high, or maybe 48, but it's not all that high. And as soon as you crest, if you're going north on that road, as soon as you crest the Adigan Pass and the Brooks Range, all trees are done. They don't exist any longer. And it's just rolling tundra from then on in, and crystal clear air. And you could see forever up there. And there's not much going on. There's a few caribou to break the wind.
So you're out there. What happens if something goes sideways? Blown tire, broken arm, whatever. How do you deal with it?
Well, there's a lot of solo riders that do that on their own, and your preparation for that trip and your emergency plan is vital for how much money it's going to cost you and how much time it's going to cost you to get out of there, because you're talking about services being relatively non-existent. Now there are EMT services with helicopters and ambulances along that corridor, stationed at particular pump houses. So you might be closer to EMS services than you thought. But let's say you get a punctured tire and you're up there, and you must be able to fix it. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Get on the satellite phone? There isn't cell rep service for most of that corridor. So you're on the side of the road feeding mosquitoes and trying to plug your tire to try to get going again. Because if you can't fix it, the backup is to try to figure out if you can hitch a ride with a backhaul truck that's coming back down from Prudhoe Bay, or you get a wrecker to come up and get you. And if you're up at the Arctic Circle, you're talking at least a $2,000 bill from Fairbanks to come get you. And it's going to take them a considerable amount of time. So bring your bug dope.
Right.
But you would be surprised that so far out there is help. The truckers, although sometimes they can be a little irritated at other traffic, they are also your savior because they have a CB network and they talk amongst themselves. And a lot of them are motorcycle riders, and they want to help you if they see that you're in trouble. And they can radio ahead or work. Sometimes you can work that small town magic where you can get a part or I've heard of bikes being put on back of, flatbeds that were headed here or there. So you may get lucky and get out of there, but don't count on it. And that's why I always tell people, don't do it by yourself, because in the last ditch, you can at least send your buddy to ride north or south to try to get help or tools or whatever you need to get your problem fixed, because there's nothing out there.
Right. Yeah. But the truckers, you say a lot of them are motorcyclists. They're also like a different level of truck driver, right? I mean, everybody's got their Class A CDL or whatever, but they're dealing with the same thing that the motorcycles are, changing road conditions. And it was different yesterday on my way up than it is on my way down this time. And if they have a problem, they're all alone too for a little bit of time. Right. So I think that helps them want to help us.
Yeah, when they see a tragedy along the highway, which they have, they do. They want to know what the outcome of any accident that they've seen, and they do care. They do follow up, and it's remarkable to see these trucks out in the middle of this grand wilderness just doing their thing. And this is what these people do. They run that highway all the time, and they're staying at it, and they're in the middle of probably the largest swathe of wilderness that a trucker finds themselves on this earth. And there's little interesting facts about those truckers. For example, what they're up against. In the winter, that thing turns to ice, and you see these tires that are spray painted right across the outside, like white, right across these tires. And one time I asked a trucker, why do you do that? And they go, well, in the winter, you can tell if your tires are still spinning on the ice. Otherwise, you could have a locked up tire and you wouldn't even know it. And the other, they put chains on those things in the winter, and that bridge across the Yukon River is at a pretty good grade, and it's wood planked. And in the summer, if it's wet, you bring that sloshy mud out onto the wood plank, and it turns really slick. And you wonder why they even do that. But I was told that, the truckers are with chains, and those chains can dig into that wood surface, and they can get a little bite, and they can cross that bridge with that wood plank. And so that's why they have it.
Right. And they're going year round. And like we know the guy who runs the avalanche program at Adigan Pass and avalanche mitigation program. They use howitzers, and they have better cold weather shooting data than the entire U.S. Army. And,
Just from that corridor.
yep. And the truckers are driving that as soon as it gets cleared, because everybody up there's got to eat all year round.
Yeah, I mean, we've come across it where one year the Sag River just changed its channel and ran right into the road and took out a significant part of the last segment of the road. And when we sent our riders up there, we didn't even know if they were going to make it. They were literally building the road in front of them. And we've been through Adigan Pass where one day it was really beautiful and snow all around. And the next day there were avalanches all the way across the road, a couple places that had been cleared. And you think those truckers are dealing with that on a daily basis. So you got to admire that type of lifestyle, and that you got to be headstrong and you got to be self-reliant. It's no normal job for those guys.
Yeah. And some people do it for fun. That was Phil Freeman talking about riding motorcycles to Prudhoe Bay. If you want to learn more about Phil or anything else we do at 10 Minute Travels, check us out at 10minutetravels.com.
And we do want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure.
And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.